Hello all. We want to talk about the last chapter of Access, and I want you to. I am going to provide you this table, which is veterinary vendors, and you have seen this table before. I will put it in Access to make sure you can practice. And if you look at this table here, I can create a form for this table. I can click here, create, and if I click a form will be created, and then I will have a form right in here. Now, one of very good forms in here, while I am here, this is called form group. If I click on more forms, there is a kind of form which I call it split form. When I click split form, that creates a form, but look how it looks like. It creates the form in here, and it puts my table in here, which is very nice. Why it is a nice feature? Because if suppose I am looking at this one, this is number one, and this is one of the suppliers. Not only I can see the record about this, supplier in here, I can see it in the format of a table right in here, and I can see, in fact, all of my suppliers in here. It looks like one, two. I have five suppliers. I can see all of them here in this format and in this format. Suppose this is the record one. If I click here at the bottom, it goes to record two, record three. And if I want to add a new, a supplier, for example, I will imagine my new supplier is Microsoft. I buy things from Microsoft. Therefore, I click here to put a new, record. And when I come here, I see I will run into a problem if I try to put a record in here. Suppose vendor's name, I want to put Microsoft. When I type, it doesn't show. The problem is that this is in the form view here, which is in design view. I have to go to form view to be able. That means I have to click here, or maybe I can click here. This will take me to form view. Look at here. As soon as I click on this button at the bottom, here it went. I can type, new. I can put Microsoft. Look at here. If I put Microsoft and then I click here, look how Microsoft. Of course, it has a Y at the end. I click and I click on this. And then Microsoft appears here. Not only I enter it here, I can see it in my record, and therefore that is called split form, which I am going to, since I added this, there is a way to delete these forms. I add this record, I click here, and maybe while my arrow here, I right click and click delete record, and I click yes. Okay, that deletes a record in the form of a table. And also in the form of, and also I can do some search. Do you see here? Find is the same as search. Therefore, I can go. Imagine that I come here, for example, I click on record one, highlight record one, and I click find. Find is the same as search, and then I click find what. And I click find, suppose CO. Imagine I have a lot of, and then I click find next. And if I close this, do you see here everything is highlighted, and here CO is not highlighted. It found it for me. Imagine that in this row I have 1,000 columns that here in here. If I go and put CO among 1,000 of these cells in here, it will find the CO. Therefore, that was something I wanted you to know about this search button and searching a record here. Each one of these, as you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 is called a record. Each one of these columns is called a field. And you can update the record, by updating means that I can go there. Imagine that I want to fully spell CO for Colorado. I want to fully, type Colorado here. I can do that. And then that is one thing that the book refers to. And also it gets, I am going to, if I decide to, I am going to close this. Anytime you try to do something in Access, and suppose if you don't want things to be saved, I click here, it says, do you want to save changes? I don't want. And even I close this one as well, and I have my vendors here. Now, we are going to talk about new concept known as filtering records. If I double click here, this is the table that opens, and we know these are the suppliers that we had. And when I look at here, I have a group. Each one of these, as you all remember from Microsoft Word, we explained that each one of these is called a group. Here is called sort and filter group. Here is called records group, find group, text formatting group, and we have different groups in here. And as you all know, this is a table. And while you have a table, there are certain things. If I want to know who my customers are who are in Colorado, as you all learned before, all I had to do was I had to go to create. I had to click on query wizard. And then, as you all remember, I had to click simple query wizard. And then suppose after I got that, I clicked vendor name and I clicked suppose state, and then I clicked next and I clicked finish. And after I finished, then to find out where the query, then I had to go my home tab and I clicked view and design view. And I had to put state as CO Colorado. And then I had to click run. And it found the query for Colorado. I'm going to close this. That way I click no. And I'm going to delete this query as well to get that out of my way. I click delete and I click yes. Do you see it was a kind of challenge to go through all these steps? Are there other ways that we can find our customers who are in the state of Colorado in here? There are many ways to do that. In fact, as you know, without creating query even, while I am here, I'm going to click on this Colorado here. That's what I want to do a research. And of course, I can see my customers in Colorado is this one, number 3 and number 5. While I am in here, one way I can do is that sort and filter, the meaning of it is somehow think about query. That means that this is the same as somewhat similar to query, but I am in my form view, I am in my table view. But the good thing is that I can run a query right here without going and creating that query. Wow! Because here is Colorado, and look at here, this is the picture of a filter. And when it says filter, do you remember I went and filtered in my query? I typed CO for Colorado. Why should I go all those steps while I can get it? I click here and I can filter it by selection of CO. If I click here, means I want everything in this table that equals CO. As soon as I do that, look how nicely it got the, it found the CO. Of course, the query that I did eliminated all these zip codes, which I, didn't need. I just needed the names and, but anyhow, this is a very, a handy feature that I can filter, by anything I want to. I can filter by the ones that which have, the same zip code, the same, anyhow. Now, do you remember I want to remove this filter. If I click toggle filter, it removes it, it brings everybody back, but it still stays in the memory. If I click on the toggle filter again, and it stays in the memory. I don't want it to stay in the memory. Can I delete it totally from my computer? That way this query, this filter doesn't stay here. Yeah, I click on advanced and I click all filters, click clear all filters. If I click all filters, do you see this toggle filter? It disappeared. Therefore, one thing I understood is that I can do filter by selection. Means if I want to know who my customers are who are in the city of Dolores, for example, or who are my customers who are in Blanding, city of Blanding. I click here. I am on Blanding selection, or doesn't contain on Blanding. Means if I click here, it pulls every customer that is, that the customers that are in other cities and or contains Blanding or equals to Blanding. Therefore I can choose any of these. So let me just equal, doesn't equal to or equals to Blanding. It finds, I click on toggle, to get rid of it, but I want to totally clear all filters. Therefore, you understood the concept of of what is in here. Now, another thing I want to know what this descending means. Do you see here number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I can use this. And this is ascending. If I click descending, do you see 5 came up? And remove sort. I don't want that. Therefore, you understand what this is. And also, we have a filter, general filter here, and we have advanced filter. Let's see what advanced filter gives me. This allows me to filter by form. This allows me to use some kind of advanced filter and sort. Let's see what it means, filter by form. I click filter by form. Do you see again something like a query popped up here, which I can say I want my customers who are, I am paying them more than $75 per their items. Do you remember we used that in query? Therefore, this filter is some kinds of query, and it's kind of general query, and it means now in the filter when we did the in query, we clicked on run. Here we click on toggle. It found every customer that they are selling, every supplier that is selling me items which are costing me more than $100. I click toggle filter, I click advanced, and I click clear filter. And therefore it brought everything back. There is another feature in this advanced which says advanced filter and sort. I click here. And again, you see, this one is a feature that is, you have seen it in query again. Imagine I put my vendor's name and I click, suppose I put a city, for example, or instead of city, quantity, let me put the state, for example, and I put quantity. And here I want my customers who are in the state of Colorado. Of course, criteria becomes CO Colorado. And also they are the ones who are selling me expensive items. These are the customers. Maybe they are ripping me, suppliers that are ripping off. And therefore I put this one in here. We have two conditions. And also, I want to know, this show me the customers in Colorado that are ripping me off. And I want to see who are they, or I want the customers that, suppliers that charge me less than $45. Any supplier anywhere. I like these suppliers who charge me less than this. And now, after I do that, I click here, and then it comes, and now I have to click run. As we said, here we don't see run because that red exclamation. But here, because we are in the table, we don't have query. I click toggle filter. Look, it found the customers in suppliers in Colorado that are ripping me off, and they found me, any supplier which is in Utah that gives me a very good deal with $25, among all of my suppliers. Therefore, I am going to again to click toggle, and I am going to clear all the filters. Therefore, you understood what we are doing in here. There is another way of filtering, and that other way of filtering is using this arrow here. Do you see, without going to this filter group? If I click on this arrow and it says filter by text, do you see equals with suppose Colorado? If I click equals, and equals what? You are familiar with this. This was, you called this one parameter query. I type Colorado, CO, and then run. It found it for me. Therefore, and you see the picture of a filter here as well. Therefore, I click toggle filter, and maybe I get rid of the filter. Therefore, and not only that, there are other ways that you can do. Even you can come here and say filter numbers and equals or greater than. Greater than what? 75, the ones that are ripping me off. And I click OK. And this found the suppliers that are ripping me off. Therefore, that is the way we are using this feature. And as you see, another way, again I want to say, this filter and sort is very similar to query, but it helps us. It's an easier way of dealing with these issues. You can use this sort and filter, or you can click on these arrows. Let me get rid of this again, and I click clear all filters, And these are the features we want you to remember.